After working alongside and analyzing tons of high-ticket business owners, I keep seeing the same pattern over and over and over again, and I thought I should create a video around this. And this specifically is that most business owners are converting under 20% of their sales calls, and specifically the ones that fix these 3 hidden issues consistently close above that measure. And here's the crazy part. It is nothing to do with their offer, their leads, or their market. And today I'm going to show you the exact framework, or exactly what's killing your conversion rates, and it's not what most people think. Now let's actually delve into the math behind what's actually destroying your business. And let me show you why this matters with some real numbers. As you guys know, I'm a numbers guy, and I just want to show you guys exactly what I uncovered. Now, let's just say, for an example, if you're currently converting 15% of your sales calls, so currently converting 15%, or actually let's just write here current. Apologies for my handwriting. So currently you're converting 15%. Right? So let's just say you're converting 15% of your showed up sales calls, and you want to make around 50K, or the goal is to make 50K this specific month, okay? Now, and let's just say your offer, let's just say this is the goal, converting. And then also, the other thing that we need is, what your offer price is. So let's just say your offer price, for easy math, is 5K. Okay, so you're converting at 15%, your goal is to make 50K this month, and you have a 5K offer. Well, you need about 67 calls to get this done, right? Live calls, right? And this doesn't account for show up rate. 67 live calls converted at a 15% close rate will get you to that 50K goal with a 5K offer, right? But here is the kicker. If those specific calls, the 67 calls, is costing you around $300 to generate, which is a great average in high ticket sales, you're spending over 20K to get those 67 calls, okay? And that is 40% of your profit, basically 40% of your profit is gone just by poor conversions alone, okay? Now, let me ask you this. What if you can convert at 35%, right? Instead of this initial 15%, what if you convert at 35% instead of that 15%? Well, let's have a look at what that might look like, right? Now, again, all things remain the same, okay? Same 50K goal, but now instead of having 67 calls, right, you only need around, I kind of wrote this down here, you specifically only need a fraction of those calls, right? So in order to hit that same 50K goal, you need 29 calls if you're converting at 35% instead of 67 calls converting at a 15% close rate, okay? That is around $8,700 in lead costs instead of $20,000. You literally right there just saved yourself $11,300 by fixing your conversion rate. And some people still think, oh, it's okay to deal with a mediocre sales team. No, it's not, because they're actually costing you real, tangible money, right? So that is why it's so important to go out there and find the very best salespeople. And again, if you're interested in that, at Sales Match, this is specifically what we do. We'll go vet, find, recruit, and ramp your closers and setters if you need that up to KPI before we place them in your business. And they're your closers, not ours. Just wanted to say that. But back to the video here. Now, here's what I see happening all of the time. Business owners, come to me, and the conversations that I've had with business owners, they basically say, oh, well, we need more setters to book more calls. And obviously, as a service provider, and providing, appointment setters, I always want to service my clients, but I also believe in ethical business. So what, I generally tell them is, they're basically trying to solve a conversion problem with a volume solution when they really need better closers and better sales systems versus just, getting more setters on their team, okay? Because the reality is, in 2025, with lead costs where they are, you cannot afford to have a broken sales process, because every missed close is costing you exponentially more than it did even 2 years ago, okay? Now, let me walk you through the 3 hidden conversion killers that I wrote down here as well, which is so important that, you know, we actually go through this because, you know, when I talk to business owners, it's such a simple fix for a lot of this that can just increase the throughput of the leads that you're currently getting. Okay, now again, let's hop right in and let's talk about killer number 1, which is the ghost zone between the lead, when somebody becomes a lead, to where they actually hop on the sales call. So believe it or not, most leads get 0 human contact between the time they opt in and when they show up for their sales call. Think about this. Somebody downloads your lead magnet or books a call, and then nothing, crickets. Maybe they get an automated email or text message that everybody knows it's automated, but no human being actually talks to them. And here's what I've observed within my own business specifically, that show-up rates will vary wildly depending on your follow-up process, okay? Some businesses see, you know, decent show-up rates from self-booked appointments, but there's always a significant drop-off of people who book and then never show up. That is fact, right? And you can probably see that in your own business as well. But this is exactly where an appointment setter makes the world of difference. Just think about it logically. When somebody books a call with you and then gets a personalized follow-up call from a real person who confirms their appointment, asks about their business, builds some rapport, they're much more likely to show up to that call. Why? Because they've already built rapport. It's basic human psychology, commitment and consistency, okay? When somebody verbally confirms an appointment with another human being, they feel more obligated to follow through basically than if they just clicked on a button to book a call, right? They feel more obligated to show up to the call, okay? And here's what most people don't realize. The conversion starts the moment somebody becomes a lead, not when they get on the sales call, okay? Now, if you're not having that conversation, your closer is starting from scratch with a cold prospect who barely remembers why they booked in the first place, okay? So that is the hidden killer number 1. Now, the second hidden killer that I'm going to talk about here is the fake qualification, okay? Now, this is where business owners think that because somebody just filled out a form or watched their VSL, which they're probably watched about 10% of it, they think the prospect is qualified. That is not qualification, that's just engagement, right? Real qualification means you know how, or basically you know that they have the budget, they have the authority to make the decisions, right? They have a timeline, and they actually need what you are selling. Most businesses are just, sending completely unqualified leads to their sales team. And I'll give you a practical example of this. I was analyzing a business owner's sales calls recently, and they were frustrated because their closer was only converting at 12%. But when we really dug deeper into it, we found that 70% of the people getting on the sales calls with the actual closer either couldn't afford the service or they weren't the decision maker, okay? And this is not necessarily the closer's problem. This starts before the closers with the appointment setters, okay? So basically what we had them do is they implemented a proper qualification process with an appointment setter. And the number of sales calls went down, right? But the close rate went up drastically from 12% to over 30%. Same closer, same offer, just better qualified prospects. And think about this, I have this conversation with, even my mentor of mine a lot, and a lot of business owners is, more friction is going to allow you to get less sales calls, right? And maybe your cost per call is going to go up because you're spending the same but getting less calls. However, your cost per qualified call might go down, right? And this is the only thing that you should really care about is, you shouldn't care about vanity metrics, okay? You should care about the real KPIs that actually matter, such as your customer acquisition cost, which is an overarching KPI that you can look at that you actually know where your business is at, right? This is very, very, very important because some business owners might think, well, shit, I don't want to get less calls, right? Well, yes, you do, because do you want your closers just to waste their time, right? Talking to unqualified people that are never going to close in the first place? Or do you want to stack their calendar with the most qualified people or the most qualified prospects? Obviously, it's the latter, right? But this brings me to my third point here, which is mediocre or dealing with mediocre closers, okay? And this is a big one that nobody really wants to talk about, okay? Most closers just aren't that good. And I can speak from firsthand, especially, owning a sales staffing company where we help our clients find top closers and setters, right? What I can tell you is that, most closers just aren't that good. The vast majority, the vast majority of leads that we get in terms of closers that apply to be placed, we reject them, right? And, this is because I've worked with tons of sales professionals, and I can tell you that the difference between an average closer and a top performer is exponentially. It's massive, okay? And from what I've observed, there's a huge performance gap between average closers and the elite ones, right? You'll see some closers struggling to convert even qualified prospects, while others with the same leads and same offer consistently perform at much higher levels, okay? And the difference really comes down to skill, expertise with high ticket sales, and their ability to build trust quickly. And again, here's what I have learned personally, okay? Most business owners hire closers based on experience and personality, not on actual performance, okay? It's crazy to me. They will hire somebody who sounds good during the interview process instead of hiring somebody who can actually prove, right, that they've closed high ticket deals consistently. And the reason for this is because I get it. Business owners aren't recruiters, right? They do not know specifically how to go through strenuous vetting process to figure out if they're actually talking to the real deal or just somebody that's faking their way through the interview process, okay? And here's the thing that's really frustrating. Business owners will spend, 10K, 20K, 30K a month on ads, but then they try to hire cheaper closers or not spend as much money on, for an example, like a staffing solution like what we offer here at our company in Sales Match, right? To find them the perfect match. And they don't realize the opportunity cost that they're going through of hiring a bad closer, right? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't make any sense, right? Think about it. Your closer is the person who actually turns all of that ad spend into real revenue and has a direct correlation with your ROAS, right? And you have to ensure that they are at the top of their field because that person has the most leverage in your company from converting leads that cost you money into real tangible revenue, okay? Now, again, so you're probably sitting there and asking, well, Craig, that's all good and well, but what does a high converting sales system actually look like, right? And based off what I've seen, work consistently, there are 4 key elements, okay? First, the first key element is that you need to initiate or immediately have human contact with every single lead. Not in 24 hours, not the next day, within minutes. And you probably know this because if you watch my channel, I hammer this down all the time, that speed to lead is everything in high ticket sales. The longer you wait, the colder that lead gets and the more chances there are that your competitors are going to get to that lead first, okay? Especially in this day and age where, if for an example, meta ads, right, with the newest algorithm change, if somebody clicks on your specific ad and offer, right, they are going to get bombarded with your competitors as well. So the quicker you can get your lead, the better, okay? Secondly, you need real qualification happening before anybody gets on a sales call, okay? Somebody needs to verify their budget, their authority, the need that they have, and their timeline. Again, this isn't a 2-minute conversation. It's a real discussion about their business and their problems. And finally, thirdly, you need a closer who actually knows how to close high ticket deals, and this is, I can't believe I'm even saying this, but it's true, right? You don't need somebody who sold cars or insurance, not somebody who sounds good on the phone, somebody with a proven track record in your price range. And fourthly, and this one is absolutely critical, all these pieces need to work together and glue together, okay? Your setter needs to warm up the prospects for your closer. Your closer needs to give feedback to your setter about the lead quality. It's a system, not just an individual people doing their jobs, okay? Now, When businesses implement this full system with proper setters, qualified leads, and skilled closers working together as a team, the improvement in conversion rates can be drastic. And I've seen this in our businesses as well, right? It just makes logical sense. Better qualified prospects plus better qualified, closers equals better results. Now, you might be sitting there and thinking, okay, well, this all makes sense, Craig, but how do I actually implement it? And that's exactly why we built Sales Match the way we did. You see, most staffing companies just throw warm bodies at you and hope it works out. We do something completely different. Every setter and closer that we place has already been thoroughly vetted, right? They've also made sure that we've gone through and that we've actually got real tangible proof that they have closed in high ticket environments. And we'll do such things such as reference checks, call their ex-employers, call their ex-colleagues, and so on and so forth to figure out what their true personality is and what their true kind of work ethic is as well. And again, our setters and closers come with a guarantee. If they don't work out within 60 days, we'll replace them, no questions asked, okay? We want to ensure that, you do get a good fit because we've already vetted these people in high ticket environments and we care about your business success, okay? Now, again, you might be asking about our closers. Well, they're not just people with sales experience. They're people that have a proven track record in high ticket environments. So if you're interested in that, click on the links below, schedule a free consultation call, and let's see how we can build your very own sales team. But other than that, I really hope this video helped you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.